Okay, hello. We are back with another analysis and recaps of some more tournament games of the Boylston Chess Club. Today was Tornado 148, which is a four-round game 60 delay 5 tournament um, at the Boylston Chess Club. I guess let's just get right into it. I did play all 4 rounds today, no bye. Uh, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of. I want to kind of get the little like category norms, like for a third category, but you have to play a 4 game tournament to do that. If you play a 4 game with a bye, you have to win like every round. And I don't know. I want to start collecting them. I feel like people like at my rating have a lot of them already, and I've just like only played like three, like the quad or 3 round tournaments. I've gotten assigned buy sometimes for like whatever, like there's odd number of people, and I get a buy. And so I actually don't have any of those norms, which is interesting because I've been playing like over the board here for like 7-8 months now. Um, so I thought, all right, now's the time. I'll push for at least something. Um, I don't really know how they work at all, but I want to have at least one. And so in the first round, I was paired against Brian Boughton, who I had spoken to before. Actually, I met him at a rapid tournament. He was talking about the JP Chess Club, which is a little far from me. And I like playing the rated games a lot more. They don't really do rated tournaments there at JP. But Brian and I, he's a senior residence person at Harvard. I'm a resident assistant next year, so we chatted a bit. He We got at Starbucks after the game. But yeah, he's rated around 800, and I like at the time of this video, I'm rated around like 1444. In the May supplement, so it was a pretty large rating disparity. Um, but I mean, he did pretty well. So here's a game. We had a Dutch defense. And actually, I haven't seen the Dutch over the board ever. I've never played against Dutch over the board. Online, I like don't really care, and I just play like the Staunton Gambit with E5. And this is not good, and so I didn't want to play this over the board. Like this is not really a very good opening, objectively. But I mean, I couldn't really bring this out. So I just play C4. We play like a whatever. I think this is like the Leningrad system or whatever. I don't really think either of us really care about the intricacies of whatever Dutch system this is. But what is important is that in the Dutch, the white player can play against this kind of white square diagonal that is quite weak because the f pawn is moved. Black would typically look for same side castling attacking ideas with the advanced F and G pawns, where white will look to attack on the queen side, especially with his bishop being countered on G2. And so I started to like just that, develop a bit, and he actually goes D5 here, which I thought was quite. I don't know if bad, but what I've seen, like I used to play the Dutch, and I've seen a lot of games where you go for like a D6 and this kind of structure. That doesn't work here, obviously. But where you kind of slowly build up your position. Although you're always dealing with the larger weaknesses. But I don't know. I was surprised. I was very surprised with D5. So I took. Because D5 gives me this outpost square here. And also, when the knight comes here, E4 is playable. E4 is a pretty thematic idea in these kind of Queen's Pawn, Catalan-esque positions. And so, yeah, he takes back the knight, and I just immediately take the outpost. I know he can't really afford to get rid of this light square bishop here, or the dark square bishop. So his king will be extremely weak, but the light square is weak, and then the dark square is also weak. Now with the bishop pair. So I know he couldn't really do that, but this move also attacks the knight again. So this knight is also hanging. I was thinking maybe about Queen B6 first here, but then or Queen B3 first. But I thought that after something like E6, then here it's just very solid. And yes, all the pawns are light squares, and the dark squares are quite weak, but the dark square bishop is doing a great job of defending. And I thought this was actually fine for him. So knight E5 first, knight B6, and then queen B3 is still my idea, but I didn't like that E6 was playable to kind of block the tactic, is like here and here, and you win the rook. So I went bishop G5 first, so now he can't actually push E6. He has to find some other way to defend. Maybe something like bishop E6 now. But that runs into other things like D5 could come this would hang, but it's quite dangerous to put the bishop here. But also because you're blocking the pawn. Like I can find a way to target this pawn quickly. But even now, I mean, I probably just castle and then figure out what to do from here. But I thought bishop 6 was going to play, but he plays c5 instead. Just because if I take, I lose the knight, and the queen the queen is traded, and I'm just down a piece. But this doesn't really address my threat of queen b3, and actually he can block here first, which I thought he was going to do. I thought he's going to block here, and then I take, and then he actually can't take yet, or he can. But it's extremely dangerous with the open diagonal. He probably goes here now, like something like e6, and then this pawn is hanging. There's two attackers, and or not e6. Sorry, this hangs the queen. Maybe the king just leaves now. The king just leaves, goes to h8. And that's why he only loses a pawn. And then this still hangs. I might have to do something like rook d1, and then here. And figure out a way to play against this. This also runs into some other issues. So maybe the pawn can't be taken yet, but still. I thought c4 was gonna be played, but he goes king h8, and so I just immediately claim my prize, my free rook. I'll cd, and he gets a pawn, and I can just pin the pawn to the queen. He goes knight 8d7, cutting off that connection until I have to move the knight. Knight b5. So I saw here that the queen can only go to squares where my queen can trade, or here, and so I just cut off the last square for the queen right here. Here, actually, I thought maybe there was some like ridiculous kind of like knight a4 type move. This is quite dangerous. But I think I would just castle. Because this opens the diagonal once this moves. But I think I would just castle and then just kind of like figure out the position from there. But he has 95, attacking the queen immediately, and I can just take this pawn. Once again, he gets to trade. Because the aforementioned trap, essentially, and he goes a6 and leaves this pawn on pre as well. And then knight ec4. This is defended. So I can go b3. And he actually he hangs right here at knight a3. Knight a3. This position is on a square that like it should never be, and so I understand why knight a3 is like not easily found here. There is actually a tactic here where if this wasn't hanging, where you take and I just lose the rook. So I had to be careful. But this is just a free knight. So I took the knight. I think a6 is fine. But this pawn hanging, I think I think maybe here is better. But I don't know. It's like, what do you really do? You can't. You can go back, I guess, but it just feels very very passive. Yanks the knight, then just lashes out with h5. I just kind of very slowly from here just kind of break open the position. Maybe g4 wasn't right. I just kind of thought that I can afford to lose some material, or like I didn't want to take here to activate anything. I wanted to keep him as like closed and like unable to move as possible. So here, like I'm pinning pieces. I'm okay giving this up. Is it forcing the piece off the board, forcing pieces off the board, and we're in the position by off a rook. And so it's just a very easy endgame to win from here. One last little trap. If you just leave the rook here, f4 comes. I actually thought maybe he had g5 fronting this, but then I would just take and take this back. And I'm holding the pawn stable, and I just go here. So this wouldn't really work. But I go here anyway, and I just take the rook and come back, and he resigns. Which, yeah, he ended up down in the exchange quite early in the position. I thought maybe c4 earlier, and just at least playable. It just feels like quite unpleasant after rook b1. Where you don't really feel like anything can get done. But yeah, it's very solid start to the tournament for me. Able to walk away with a win against Brian. Brian actually ended up doing quite well later in the tournament, but it probably was not the best start for him. But yeah, I tried to be very methodical this round with this game. No, didn't really. I don't think I made any significant like mistake. Out of the open, I think d5 is just like kind of a mistake, but I don't know if this continuation is correct. Um, like the immediate takes in here. Maybe it's like take and then just castle. Like this is still like kind of like Grunfeld-esque though. I was kind of worried about that. I don't think he is a Grunfeld connoisseur or anything, but it's a weird. I don't think it would really work because the F pawn is here. Like this, a lot of tactics. Um, but yeah, I don't think D5 is right. Yeah, definitely C5 is right. Um, like you need to. I think you need to move the king now or something. But at least now, you can. I don't know, or maybe even like just here now. I think once we had bishop e6, I can't really do what I wanted to do before, and I would gamble and figure out the game from here. Um, I don't know. This is also an issue. When you move the bishop, I guess that would be problematic. Um, in a hypothetical basics line, actually, and you'd lose the rook anyway. So yeah, maybe not. Maybe not that. I don't know. It didn't seem very pleasant for playing this game after d5. So yeah, and sometimes it just happens. It's not an easy opening. The Dutch is very imbalanced, so it's understandable. Okay, moving on to game two. I had the black pieces against Chimaya Kumar. Chimaya actually was unrated. I'm pretty sure. I'm not entire. I can check right now. But I don't. He wasn't. He didn't have a posted rating. Um, yeah, on the whatever it's called on the cross table. So I think he's this is his firstly over the board tournament, I believe. Um, actually, I can't even find his USCF number, so maybe I can search it. Or maybe he got the membership there, and so it hasn't like updated yet. But I mean, he was very strong. And we'll see what happens in this game. This is this is kind of unpleasant. So you have a Caro. We have like my main line of the advanced Caro. Although it's been so long since I've had this on the board that I've kind of started to forget my lines. I do need to review a lot of these lines. Because I felt like I didn't do this correctly at least. Um, up to here is good. Um, might be the first deviation from theory. Um, and I think I don't know. I don't know if Bishop B4 now is good. I just didn't really think there was ever anything. Now I have to just like take and take. I don't know. It doesn't. I don't really know the line. So knight g7 needed castle set and knight f5. I know knight f5 is the spot for the knight to be. Because then you can take the f2 pawn, use the dark square bishop and play some game. Rook d1 actually I didn't think was necessary. Obviously like the d4 pawn is weak. And if you don't go there, takes, I do win the pawn. But I don't know. I thought I guess it is necessary then if there's that many attackers. But after yeah, after rook d1, I guess I might have just missed that completely. I feel like maybe in this position I just kind of like think by default that you can't take the pawn because white will defend it. Um, and white is defending it now, but I don't know. That might just be like a knee-jerk reaction that I don't think is correct. I should be doing. Rook d8 with ideas of like cutting off this square, knight c3, and then now I take. I know this is like decent. This structure can be played against quite well. Like if you take here, this lines open up, and so I thought this was fine. I think this is even. Um, I went bishop e7, just h3, and I take. and get the bishop here. But I actually, after we looked at the game, I think it might be better to just go g6. Then in the same position, bishop is a little bit safer um, on this square than this square. Like, this can come. And it's also much easier for my queen to get back around. And I think this ended up, really biting me at the end of the game. This queen is just like not in a good spot. And so I think this position I'm actually a lot more happy with. But what happens in game is that, after also, he has to go here, queen e2, because if you just kind of like make a lazy move, like, I guess let's say you go like g4, something doesn't do anything. I can just take this, uh, fork on the queen and the king. And if I take this and you go here, okay, let's not do g4. Let's let's do a move that's a little more safe. Like give you one. That doesn't do anything. When you take, yeah, the line, takes, and then I win the queen here. Um, And if you don't take and you counterattack the queen, I take this with check first, getting out of the danger, and then I can leave. I can go like here and enter. Um, and so he saw that and had to go queen e2. And after this, I think once again, if my queen could get back here and the bishop is here, I'd be very happy with this position. But I can't. And I tried to infiltrate on the queen side. And this is like just not a good series of moves. Queen b4 is good, but b3, and I should have just like I don't know. I know what I did. I went b5 here. I know b5 is wrong. Um, the d5 leaves is a big gaping hole here. Uh, in fact, I knew b5 was wrong. I couldn't really explain right now why I played b5. I mean, obviously you kick the knight out, but the knight is safe and there's no danger. And I doubled down on my mistake here and I really pushed for this knight to get hit. But it's just fine. It gets here. My idea, I didn't even think they could go. I thought you had to go here, and then I would come back, and his knight's like a little stuck, and it has to take a couple turns to get back in the game. Um, but I mean, he can just put the knight on d3, and I have nothing. I just wasted a bunch of time, and I can get the knight here. Um, I think instead of b5, if I'm just like a bit more patient, um, and play around this, isolated knight, you know, maybe look for like this maneuver right now to go hit these soft pawns, and also maybe anchor myself on the weak g3 square. I don't know. I think that what ended up happening is not good. Even like slipping back here, and once again like slipping here, getting around, going for the weaknesses. Um, yeah, 97, and because now when you can't really put yourself here, second is kind of anchor, and yeah, maybe here it's like kind of dicey for your queen, but I'm not opposed to sacrificing the queen for the two rooks here. And then just because I have the physical amount of pieces I have goes up by one, and that means I can much more easily attack the weaknesses. It's hard to attack weaknesses when you can only have one piece to attack it with. But then I have a lot of defenders that are available. I'm fine with this kind of structure. Um, I can quite easily take control of the only open file. Um, it's hard for black to get a white to get a good attack here, but I could just block and kind of like cocoon around here. This is very weak. These pieces can just come in, at like a lightning speed and make a lot of issues. But I just got pretty aggressive with b5, and b5 is just not good. After this, I wish now you could do this, but the knight takes instead, and you don't get anything. Um, Queen a g4 also is terrible. I mean, what I need to do is probably actually I dropped the knight back here to look for this, which is why he played g4 to prevent this from going. So I think even now I should just go back. Like this isn't going anywhere. Since I thought I could honestly just give up on this plan and go back. I think I should do that. Because now when you plant the knight here, at least, there's not really any targets for it. Like it just sits there. But Yeah, I don't know. The five is absolutely different. B4, and actually in here again, once again I missed another thing. I go queen b6 here. I think I missed queen a3. There's actually no way to dislodge this queen really, and this pawn is hanging. I would say the reason you can't take the pawn. Oop, the reason you can't take the pawn immediately there, um, is that there's a fork here, and there's no counterplay against the fork. Um, I was even thinking maybe there's a way to like go here, take the rook, but then you lose the queen, and you got to take this too, and you take this, but none of it's good. Like this, good. Like I have a rook and two pawns for the queen, and this pawn is, and then I find take here, and this is quite bad. Although it's not instantly over. This is an immediate threat. Uh, Rook c1 is immediate threat. Um, but I mean, like even like king e2 works, and there's not actually much to play for. Um, I can still play around with this. Look for a way to trick him. But I thought about it for a little bit. It's not good. Um, Also, if you do this, maybe there's a way that you actually take your first. Um, but even this, like the queen is hanging. Like this is even worse. You just lose a piece. Um, but yeah, the queen a3 fine. It's quite hard because you can't go here. But this rook hangs, and you can't go here to block, and this rook hangs. Um, and this pawn is hit. Like you have to defend this pawn. You can't block with the queen, but I take here first, and then when I hit here, I'm also defending this. And so everything is actually really well defended here. Obviously, you can take the pawn, but then this fork happens, and it's quite dangerous. Um, he actually has to go back with the knight, but you can't go here. But then you lose the pawn. There's no fork, so he has to go back here. And I thought after this, maybe there's I can double the rooks. Um, and if I double the rooks, like you can take and but you can't control the file anymore. Um, like, after like takes, it's actually quite difficult to defend this very accurately. It's probably like some king f2 type move. But I mean, I'm getting in. Like it's not pleasant um, for white here. So I do wish I found queen a3. I think I was just already kind of defeated by my awful position here in my head, and so I just kind of went back. And then a5 also doesn't really do anything. I thought maybe if I open the a5, I can get both my rooks here and like for counterplay, like you can't. His pieces are split here, and they can't like come to the a file without like dropping back. Um, and also this is still an issue. Uh, but I mean, he can also just take, and that's what he does. And so like if I go for this plan, um, and like takes instead of in the game I go here now that the square is open. But if I look for doubling the rooks instead, I think you actually just immediately go here. And then this opens up and it's quite the issue. Also, if I come here, I can just block either of the rooks. This one right now is the bishop. Um, but this kind of just kills the play. Um, and the ends up with my rook hit and this coming, and it's just quite bad. Um, what happened in game there, and one thing happened. Now when fixed the knight, the pawns just go immediately. So I have no knight here to block them. Over quick trick here, hitting through everything. The games go there, and then once I go here, looking for one last little shot at some play on the king, um, he just advances a little too far, and I go to the A file where it's open, and I am forced to give up the bishop, 2 pawns here, and then just immediately a series of back from me, losing the queen, and so I resign here. He played extremely well. And if this is his first over the board tournament, and that's not just like a fluke, he's probably going to get rated extremely highly because he beat me, and I believe he beat
I know he drew someone that I've lost to before. He's around like 1650. He drew him. I don't know who he played in the first round, or if he played the first round. It might have been a goodbye. Um, but he was extremely good. And so hopefully I don't lose too much in terms of rating from playing against him. Because he'll get placed really high and his initial scorecard. He was very good. I have yeah, not much to say other than I should have played much better than I did. I don't know if it was just like me assuming that since he's unrated, he's not like my level, which you can't assume that. They can be unrated and actually be like 2,500 online. Uh, so I don't know. I think I just made a very poor series of mistakes, and that just is how you lose the game. But yeah, it's okay. This is the only game I lost this tournament. I win these two games. But I'm gonna go into that right now. Game three, I am playing against Logan Gately. I have played Logan one time before. I think he's actually Tornado 148. I think I played him in Tornado 147, if I remember correctly, which is quite funny. Um, he only goes to these series of events. But I lost to him, which is just a really sad loss after I lost two games in a row that tournament. And I was really hoping that I could kind of come back with a win against him. When I played that last tournament, and I don't know. He played very solid, very like principled, and I was just kind of flailing around looking for a way to win, and I just opened too many weaknesses and lost. Um, and so I knew that walking into this game, that I was just like I was not going to do anything stupid. Coming off of a loss, I've lost against this guy before, and so I knew I had to just kind of play it smart, simple and smart, just like him, and then outplay him, but like that way. And so that's kind of what I try to do. We have a Catalan with C5, and so I haven't played with C5 in classical. I don't think. I think this is the first time. Um, and I'm pretty sure that the line is CD, CD CD, and then like the bishop opens up like this. Uh, but I wasn't entirely sure. He takes the knight actually, and that was very interesting immediately. You can't go E4 yet because then the knight comes back, and this is not anything fancy. Like yeah, it's playable, but there's not really a point because you have to you put the knight there. Like I'm sure actually like the computer's gonna say like why didn't you do this? Um, I mean like after this we basically have like a four knights, but all these pawns are gone, and my bishop doesn't really belong here anymore. Um, but yeah, so I was surprised by knight takes. But I just continue developing. I leave the knight there. And as soon as he moves his bishop, I take, making waste of tempo. And then this is playable, but it's still not good. Bring the knight here. Attack the loose piece. Also targeting the h7 square. Queen c2 is a pretty normal move in these structures, from what I know at least. He drops the bishop back, and now I actually thought I had so much time here to like build my position that I just went a3. I did not letting a piece go here to dislodge my queen. He can go here, and then right there. I thought this is not actually good. Second, the knight here, he goes back, and then I can maybe now look for this e4 e5. And even then, this is probably just like evenish. But yeah, I thought I went a3 and he went rook e8. Also, kind of I don't know. This like pushes for e5, but also kind of almost feels like passing. Besides me, look at knight c4. Knight c4 feels pretty strong here. Looking for this, controlling the e5 square before he pushes. So he actually has to go back to defend again. And to save the bishop, I thought he could maybe lead the bishop there, and just look for a way to develop this bishop. The bishop stays quite poor for a while, and so I go b4. B4 looking for b5, also opening the diagonal for the bishop to target the king, and with this kind of position, like there's a lot of possible dangers around the king side, across the whole board. So he goes b5, and I kind of expected b5, but what I didn't really consider was like this knight doesn't really have anywhere good to go. If you can go here and try to like forcibly trade it off, but also it blocks the pawn. You can go here to block the bishop, or you can go here to block the bishop this way. And so I went knight b2. You can kind of win the knight technically, which is I don't know if it's correct because I'd want the bishop there, but in the game I was worried that like if I go here, um, like problems can occur around like this diagonal that I'm not controlling anymore. Um, but I don't really know what the problem would have been. This also hits the knight. And so I thought maybe like after here and here, um, I don't know. This actually doesn't feel that bad. This I kind of like looking at this. But knight b2. Oh well, maybe not perfect. 95 now though. Like obviously you can defend or move it. I thought actually he should just defend it. It runs into a similar issue where I'm gonna play rook d1 anyway, and then you have to like move the queen out of the way, and then I can kind of like stunt this diagonal, or look for this outpost square, um, which I guess technically. So if we go back to this, the outpost square is harder to get to here, um, because the knight can come back, or the knights have a better shot at controlling the square to the square on the long diagonal. So maybe that was why. But 95, and I go rook d1, pinning the knight. So e4 is actually a real threat now. Deals queen f6. And the other thing about rook d1 was that this knight is the only piece defending this if the queen moves too far. So I thought he had to go queen e7 here, because and then I would probably look for like something like this. But then I'm kind of forcing his knight off the board. And I was happy with this position because then I get the bishop back in the fianchetto. But he goes queen f6 instead, which lets me sacrifice my rook. But now that the defender's gone, I can take the bishop as well. Um, but it's not that easy to do, because after he takes and takes this knight c4, and you can't take this because you lose the rook, and you can't really move the bishop because you lose the knight, and this is hanging, and nothing can move, and it looks really bad. It looks like you're about to get obliterated. Um, there are some maybe like funny ideas here. I thought maybe like sacking the rook completely could be playable, but the bishop just also gets hung in the end, and or actually maybe not. Like if I go here and he takes here, I wonder if it's like this. He has to go here to defend mate and save the rook, and like this, he has both rooks, but I have two knights and a bishop, and technically that's better. That's like the numbers are up for the guy with the two rooks, but this doesn't look pleasant to play whatsoever. Um, and I probably look for like just keep adding pressure on this. Again, I can go like here, and this is hit, and this like this is F7 is gonna get destroyed soon. You might have to go like here. Um, but even then, I don't know. I feel like there's probably a way for this to be good for white. It just doesn't feel right. So I went queen f4 instead. Queen f4. Unfortunately, you can't take the bishop here, but then you lose the knight. But it kind of forces the queen trade. Um, Otherwise, if you get off the diagonal, I'm just gonna take, and I'm fine with this position. Because I get the fianchetto as well. And you can't really go like here either, trying to hold it. That can come here. And now you have to like you can try to keep lingering, um, but you can't linger on the diagonal at least, and that's what's important. Like you can go like here, but you're kind of getting boxed in. And once I take, uh, I just will go for mate. I can beat him to it. He can't just come here. It's very dangerous though, very dangerous. But he takes the queen, so I'd have to take and lose the pawn. And here actually I miscalculated almost immediately after this position. Um, I saw that uh, in this position, when I move the knight, this is hit and the rook is hit, so like it hits everything. And so if I take and this happens, it hits both rooks. And if I take and this happens, it hits the pawn and the rook, and you can't really come to defend it. But I didn't account for the fact that this check happens, then I get mated. Um, so I had to. So I took and then realized that, and just like, shoot, I have to push b3 first, which is fine. It cuts off the rook still, which is nice. But now he has connected pass pawns here that can just go. Um, but I don't know if he did it correctly. I think maybe bishop b7 is better to defend this pawn. But it runs into a similar issue where, or that we're going to see in game. Because when he goes bishop g4, I can just go here, and then the rook is trapped. I thought maybe I could take here first, but I didn't like that after this. All my pieces are just like stuck. Um, but I don't know because maybe this rook d8 actually I had to take both pawns. But rook c8 trying to hold this pawn. If I try the same tactic here, the knight covers the square, it covers the square, it covers, king covers here. The knight's it's trapped. This time, this works. This is coming. Blue. Um, so I realized that was not going to work. The rook c8 line. At least I can't do bishop c1 in this line. Maybe I can go like here. I can some rook c1 try to hold this. Then like rook c1, and I'm still it's balanced. Um, but I went here first and didn't even realize that c3 can just be done now, and this obviously is not going to work. Because if I go take, if I take now, what I thought was if I take now, this is a big issue. After take here, I have to block and then I get mated. Um, so I can't do that yet. So I have to take this pawn. But now he moves his rook, and he needs to get his rook on the winning square, um, right here, which is weird because like you move it and you don't reattack the two pieces that are hanging. You go here instead. Um, but this actually might be the only try here. I think I have to go like bishop b3 to try to cut it off. Then, because also you can't push the pawn is the other thing, because then the rook hangs. So if I just like leave the rook in this kind of limbo, I thought maybe it was possible to deal with. But I don't know. I haven't looked at the engine line for this yet. I will later. But he goes here, but now this allows this really nice tactic. With the rook is hanging, and you can't take the bishop, because you get forked. And so this is kind of like my saving grace here. So knight to 6 works. He has to get out of the way, and now I can take, because now there's no funny business with mate. And so I have to give it the bishop, um, because this doesn't work. I lose. There's no like fun tactic here. So I have to take the bishop, 2 pawns. I got that pawn and this pawn, and so now I just have connected past pawns really far from the king. And so all I really need to do is get the knight safe and push the pawns. That is exactly what I do. Rook d3. Still, he's very tricky here. What I don't want to do is put my rook back here. Like it's fine. I can, but I don't like it. Um, and there's still some with the lightsaber it says it's still kind of dangerous. Didn't like putting the rook here. It's probably fine. But I went knight b5 instead. And then bishop d7 a4. And I thought even maybe now you can take to try to stop me this way. But I thought that after this, I can hold laterally and then just block the king. So I wasn't entirely sure. I thought a4. He goes for one last little shot at mate. And I think rook f3 is wrong, but that's forked to happen. I think maybe rook h3. Um, it's still quite difficult to get my pieces moving because now this is tied to the defense of the bishop or of the knight. These pawns might just fall. Um, I thought maybe after like rook h3, uh, I could sacrifice. Maybe I don't know if like opening this is necessary, or if I even just leave it like that, completely, and I just go like here, looking to either force this trade or get in. Um, and just kind of hope it's winnable. But I mean, he allows like before, and then after that, I just push the pawn. Like I obviously, it took like 10 minutes here to make sure that this is perfectly right. I could not afford to just draw this game after being winning. And so I had to push, and now after rook b2, black resigns. It's only really shot king b6, and I get here, and you could take, but this is just over. I have a rook, win everything. So great game from Logan though. Logan kept the pressure up the whole game. There was never really a moment where I was like, even 2 pawns here. It took all the way up to here where they, oh, I can breathe. So no, Logan did a great job. Not giving up when he was down the 2 pieces for the rook. He kept it really grinding down for the finish, and so I really respect that a lot. Yeah. So my last round, I had the black pieces against Damon Kai. I played Damon once, I think. I beat him with King F7, opening the. It was like some bizarre win where we were up and down a lot. All the pawns were still on the board. I like had some long maneuver to get my rooks all the way to the king side. Um, but this is the fourth round. It's like 5:30. We've been playing chess since 9 a.m. Um, and so I think everyone's a little tired here. Damon was kind of just like instantly playing moves, slapping the clock, which it doesn't really matter too much. But he plays in English, and he played the English last time too against me, and I don't know, I don't have a good counter for it. I thought this time I was gonna have some fun and play the reverse Sicilian. I don't know any of the lines here, but I know the Sicilian lines that do exist, and so I thought, well, I'll just play 4 knights Sicilian, and he's gonna play dragon or accelerated dragon, but on the white pieces, and so it does kind of resemble an accelerated dragon position, maybe with the wrong pawn structure. But yeah, the I think I actually misplayed this right now. Um, I went d6 here, looking to develop the bishop this way, but I think it allowed d4. So I thought maybe I had to go here instead to prevent d4 from happening. I think d4 was quite strong and it destabilized that position a lot. I am fine with e4, but then I come back. This is just blocking the bishop in. But I went g6 and he went b4 immediately. And I thought I thought um, the sleepiness is getting to me, and I was going to lose this game too. Because after take push, I don't even know why I pushed too. Like this just loses the. I think I thought f5 was playable to defend, but it hangs the bishop, so I lost the pawn here. Um, but I have activity. If he loses the lights bishop, it's a weak king. So I wasn't too miffed at losing this pawn. He goes queen d3 here. I think I figured his goal was to look for c4. C4 doesn't even work because this is hangs. So I was like, okay, well I'm just gonna let him think he can play c4 in this castle, and he plays c4, and so I just take, and I get my pawn back. I hit the rook, but obviously this pawn is hanging too, and I can't really. There's no good way to defend it. A lot of things are hanging. And I drop back here, and he goes queen c3, and I'm actually quite concerned now that my bishop's not on the long diagonal anymore, and so it's actually quite difficult to find a home that keeps these pieces safe, especially after this, penning the f pawn. So I went queen d4, trying to force the issue, and then trying to force the issue some more here. But nothing gets to the bishop d5 idea, and I was quite concerned here that like this would come and get me off the diagonal, and I would go here, or I'd have to go like here or something stupid, and then like I was really worried that I went queen e5 here, but I was quite concerned that after like bishop b2, um, I didn't really know what I was going to do. I thought even like queen e5, I thought you could sack the rook or something like crazy. But actually then I realized that this is shocking. Like this is like insane, but this is fine. And this is hanging. Um, and so since this is hanging, I thought even like this, I take here, and this is an issue. But I think I got here in time. to defend everything, and then I can liquidate. If he goes like here, um, actually I can just take this. Uh, when but I was quite concerned with a two related line. Um, but I guess it's fine. Now that I think about it, maybe actually instead of like you here first and then here, because now there's no pin. But now there's also this and there's no F3 that now that I move this or F6. This actually might be over. Do I have to like? Yeah, actually, I don't know what I would do here. Um, yeah, maybe I can't even take. Maybe I have to go like here now. Which just sucks because like this is losing like everything I own. I'm down a full rook here. But I don't think you would defend that. The T3, not now. Queen C3 after taking the knight. Or actually, no, this doesn't work. Take the free queen. I mean, maybe this is fine then. But he was E4, but E4 traps the bishop. That is good knight B4, hitting the queen. And then after like C6 will just trap the bishop. Like there's some counterplay, but like the knight can move. And he actually just blundered a royal fork here and just loses everything. And he resigns here and just goes home. Oh, which is fair. It's late. Uh, but this was a kind of like chaotic game. We both played just terribly. I mean, this is not. I'm honestly kind of shocked that I was able to win because I just thought I just lost a pawn and like on the eighth move. Like, what am I doing? Um, but uh, yeah, I'm quite lucky that this was stable enough to win. Um, not too much to look at in this game. I mean, other than the convolutions around the long diagonal here, I don't really think there were any other variations where I was like really thinking about other moves other than bishop c5. Yeah, this is not a good game. This is even now. Actually, I wonder if I can take up the knight here. I didn't like those. Although like this is quite dangerous. You gotta go like here. But I don't know. Like this is just even. Crazy enough. Obviously, it's not because I can just take here. Um, but yeah, I don't know. This is not a good game. I'm glad I got to just go home after this. Fifth game, it would not have gone well. Um, but oh yeah, overall I went 3 out of 4 this tournament. Quite good. Damon's rated 1200, Logan's 1400, Brian's like 800. Chimaya he's gonna end up at like probably 14, 15, 1600. Based on his first games. Um, so I think overall I might gain rating from the tournament. I don't know. I don't know if I get a norm actually because he's unrated. Um, but I beat people that were well. I didn't beat anyone higher rated than me. I only beat the people lower rated, which is I guess the effective result. Um, so I don't think I'll gain too much rating. But it's okay. It's not the only point of playing. uh, this game I think I learned a good amount from the mistakes I made last week, last at the quads. I think I had better plans. Not game two. Game two was just bad around the board. Uh, but in game three, I thought I had a very solid. I guess game three is the only game I'm really talking about in terms of because like the game against Brian, he blundered quite early as well. Um, but against Logan, I thought I had a very good plan. Just very casually, not casually, but very solidly build that pressure on the green side, be very prophylactic, and then as soon as the time was right, I found a winning tactic. And so yeah, I thought my learnings from last week. I wonder if this is playable actually. Bishop f5. I don't think it is because of this. Um, but I think that from last week, I mentioned like needing to be better at making the plans and executing them well, and taking advantage of what my opponent is like leaving open and stuff. Like even in the Boughton game, where he leaves the e5 square open, and I took advantage immediately. I think I got to use the weaknesses that my opponents make for me. Um, and so I thought I did a much better job this week of doing that, which may have resulted in my performance. But I'm pretty happy with the way the tournament turned out. I hope uh, in the future that this is like a good standard. I think going positive, 3 out of 3 wins, 1 loss is always good. Um, and so I'm pretty pleased with this. Uh, overall, next Tuesday will be the round 3 of the Tuesday night Swiss. I believe I'm playing Michael Berry. Rated around 1650, 1700. We are both 2-0. So this will be the kind of like the battle for who is going to lead the tournament after next Tuesday. Um, if I'm able to beat him, I mean, I'm going to be uh, skyrocketing in the ratings. I'll have beaten the people higher rated than me. Uh, but I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm prepared. I've been preparing. I'm doing a lot of puzzles. Um, I think I maybe need to review my openings actually. I think I was caught a little off guard in this game, not knowing the exact line in the Caro, and then also in this game I was playing against the English. I was not really very happy. Um, in the games I had the white pieces, I thought I was able to dictate the pace pretty well. Even the C5 I don't remember everything, so I should definitely review some opening work, just to make sure that I'm starting solid in the game. Because I feel like in this last game, obviously like everything went wrong, um, but I wasn't really well prepared in the opening, and I just kind of wasn't doing good as down the pawn. Before it happened last week against a couple people actually, where I just was down a pawn and it sucked. But I had counterplay in those games. This one, like, if it didn't give me this pawn back, I would have like no real counterplay. So yeah, I think maybe opening work for this week, like going into Tuesday, some opening work, some more tactics. Always maybe some endgame stuff. Depending on how long the game's going to go, I have no idea really. We can't really predict this far ahead. But I mean, I don't want to get caught blind in the end game. After playing a good middle game against a higher rated opponent, I would hate to lose in the end game. So I'll have to redo some end game stuff. But I think good tournament. And I'm looking forward to Tuesday, where I will get to play another 90-minute game against I believe Michael. I'll have to check. But yeah, that's all. And that was the Tornado 148 at the Boylston Chess Club.